Happy to have you this morning. Happy to have our guests as well. Commanders Open Line, your monthly opportunity to speak directly with your 35th Fighter Wing leadership. You don't get this opportunity too often, so why not take advantage of it? Give us a call, 226-1575. Love to hear from you this morning. You can also go to the AFN Misawa Facebook page and leave your question, comment, or concern right there. Colonel Rothstein, he's your 35th Fighter Wing commander. He's got something he wants to address right out the gate right now. Sir, what you got for us?
Well, yeah, first of all, I want to thank so many of the private orgs around our base that do so many good things for us. And whether that's professional organizations that are developing leaders, whether it's Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts, we've got Great Spouses Club and the Misawa Officer Spouses Club, and Misawa Enlisted Spouses Club, and there's a whole bunch of others that I'm not naming, but those organizations writ large do so much to make our community a community.
Right, it does.
And so I'm thankful for them. And there's a lot of people who put a lot of their time and effort to do that, and I'm appreciative of it. One of the things coming up now, and whether you're one of those organizations or you're part of the schools, the Misawa Officers Spouses Club, they ran a bazaar back in the fall. I think it was October, if memory serves. And what they do is they run that bazaar, and essentially, the vast majority of those proceeds go right back into money that they put up to give back to the community. So this year, I think they've got $30,000 they're looking to give away back into our community.
Wow.
And so the way you do that is they're going to open up, I think, from about 1 February to 1 March. You go to their website, which is misawaosc.org. And I think you can also get to them if you go onto our Misawa homepage, like where the newcomer stuff is.
Okay.
I think there's a link.
Or you can Google MLSC at Misawa, and that'll basically give you the same.
And then they'll have a form up there starting 1 February you can fill out. And essentially, if you've got a worthy need for your organization on base, they'll kind of rack and stack, and they're going to give away $30,000. They've got some criteria. It'll be on the website. I won't get into the details, but they've done some really good things in the past to help this community. And so it all comes back, and so that's what they're doing, and I just kind of want to let everybody know who's out there to apply. And so that's a great thing.
Just like Commander's Open Line, I mean, it's something awesome, but we need you to take advantage of it. So definitely take advantage of what the MOSC has for you. Take advantage of this time to speak with Wing Leadership. Call us up, 226-1575. But we do have some official follow-ups now. I mean, they are, scribbled on a piece of paper, but they are official follow-ups. Colonel Mike Griffin, your 35th Mission Support Group Commander. Sir, which one do you want to talk about?
I will go back to the one that Miss Conley called about, Mary Conley, when you called in about the sinkable steps. They have found a way to purchase them. It looks like they're going to purchase them in the June time period. So they're
actually, I think they're going to. I was just talking to Blaine off. They're going to push it up and purchase them earlier.
So they may even get them earlier. So you will have them very soon there. More of a customer support arena. So thank your FSS squadron, and I appreciate their help, and I appreciate you bringing the topic up. I really do, Miss Conley.
And Ms. Conley, just we're not purchasing steps for physical therapy. We are purchasing steps for just good customer service. And help kids and all that stuff. And if it happens to help with your physical therapy, that's also just an added benefit.
That's right.
Good.
Hey, Chief Hastings, speaking of customer service, you've got a response right now. You want to go ahead and deliver some of that good customer service?
I have a scribbled response here. But just to the Navy Master Chief, the Navy Chief that called in, just to expound on the CrossFit. The CrossFit has been very, very successful in this community. So I encourage units that want to do PT to take advantage of the CrossFit room that we have, as a lot of units have. We have 2 classes daily that are pretty full, and I think we're looking to expand that even more. So I think the CrossFit will give us a good option for fitness for units.
There you go. Great answers from our folks here hanging by. Our team helping us out for Commander's Open Line. You got your 35th Fighter Wing Leadership, Chief Master Sergeant Russ Hastings, Colonel Mike Griffin, Colonel Mike Rothstein, 845 on the source, 1575. All right, let's keep this whole customer service thing going.
We've got, there's another one that we're getting feedback on. There was a question about an elevator and I think Tower 220 being broken.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I think the question is it ever going to be repaired? The answer is yes, it will be. And the second answer is we need a little bit of patience. They went in and took a look at it, found out it was, I think, broke worse than they initially thought. So there's some parts on order. Our local contractor did not have the capability, so that's kind of being referred to our civil engineering squadron. But it's squarely on their scope. I'm going to need folks to have a little bit of patience. But the short answer is, will it ever be repaired? Yes. I know that the real question is how fast is it going to be repaired. I don't have an answer for that, but I know they're working it.
But until it gets repaired, Chief Master Sergeant Select Chris Van Sile will actually carry your groceries up the stairs
Oh,
for
man.
you. And that just, I'll give you his number. Just give me an email and I'll give you his phone number and you can call him.
Nice.
Hey, well, and you know, with this big time fitness that emphasis on fitness that we've got going on, the stairs is always a viable option. You see all the signs all around base. You know,
That's right.
Stairs always an option. So
See, if we were in the Army,
yeah.
I wouldn't say, we don't have a broken elevator.
Yeah.
We just got a morale problem. That's how the Army says. We don't have a parking problem. It's just a PT problem.
That's right.
There you go. Well, see, now I think it's probably a good time to get to another question because we might have some irate callers after that one. Here you go, sir. We've got Justin Stade. That's who our question comes from. And it says, sir, what is the SOP for the removal of abandoned vehicles from parking lots around the dorms? The snow removal teams leave a large amount of snow around these vehicles, and that makes for icy conditions as the snow melts and freezes at night across the parking lots.
Well, I don't know.
That would be.
He's,
Well, that lucky
he's
MSC
eyeing
wrote the
Colonel
note.
Griffin.
I
here.
wrote the answer down. I wrote not the answer. I wrote the question down because it's a very good question because I've seen a couple, not just in the dormitory areas, I've also seen them parked around the base.
Sure.
And I know the standard policy is they'll call them through security forces and then we'll get them towed through a process.
Right.
And I'm not sure if we maybe being a little nice right now and hasn't went down that path with some of these cars, but let me check on that.
Yeah, I think probably security forces, dorm management. If you can point out, obviously, if you think you have a vehicle out there that's abandoned, and let either security forces or dorm management know, that's probably the.
I know in the past we've actually had forklifts out there for cars that weren't moved from the parking lot and moved them. So I'm pretty confident that if we contact security forces, they'll contact the right agency to get the vehicles moved.
Yeah, Chief. We actually had a great town hall meeting in our tower, Tower 231, pretty recently. That security forces come out there, gave a fantastic presentation to us, and it was really enlightening. You know, these things were brought up. Security forces will take care of these issues, but that's what you got to do.
You gotta let them know, though.
You've got to participate. You've got to let them know, and that really provides a good segue. And I think what we've been doing this break provides a good segue because there's a lot of people participating in a process to get things taken care of, and really that's what voting is all about, right? It's about your voice being heard, getting your voice out there for your elected officials. Colonel Rothstein, I've seen the message going with General Schwartz on AFN television. What do you have that you'd like to add about our installation's voting assistance program?
Well, I know we've been actually talking a lot about that in the last couple of days in trying to find a way to beef that up. And we've got, I know, a couple folks, who are dedicated to work and provide that voting assistance. We're also looking for ways to find some dedicated space to be able to do that in the future. I don't think we've got that right now. But, one of the big things, that website, www.fvap.gov
Right.
is a real good place to get some help on that. And, voting is absolutely our right. It is our chance to have a voice. It is a little distressing watching, the amount of people who are voting in America, continue to decline.
Mm-hmm.
And so, my comment on that is it's hard to whine about our leadership when you don't take part in the process.
That's right.
That's correct.
So I would encourage folks to to think long and hard about doing that. And it's many people think of that as not only a civic right, but a civic responsibility. Mm-hmm. And so we want to be there to help you do it, but there's so much information right now, too, available on the website there at fvap.gov that's pretty good. And then I know we've got voting assistance officers throughout the wing.
We're working it hard. We had a meeting yesterday to discuss about locations and office space and people, so we're trying to work that right now.
That site, once again, for you, www.fvap.gov. Very easy to use, very easy to navigate. Usually just takes you right to your state's page, and it's really easy to get your
people
ballot.
need to do that now. They shouldn't be waiting until right before the election. I encourage people to go ahead and register now and not wait.
Yeah. And every unit should have a voting rep, too, so you got to be able to turn to your unit voting rep for help.
Back to the Facebook page we go, Commanders and Chief. This first question from Michael Miller. It says, because of budget constraints, what cuts will Misawa expect to see within the next 12 to 24 months? You hinted a little earlier about some of the cuts that are going on DOD-wide. Colonel Rothstein, do you know anything about this?
Yeah, I don't have any inside information on next year's budget. What I suspect, just in the large, is we will see, I think, a general tightening of the belt.
Okay.
We've been through several civilian adjustments already that have kind of come out, so we're seeing that. I have not heard of any real changes to our mission per se, in the grand scheme of things. So if there was, no one has told me, but I think we will see, a few less dollars for TDYs, and we're making some decisions. For instance, made a decision that we're not going to send folks down to NCO Academy graduations.
Right.
I mean, we're going to still send folks to NCO Academy.
Sure.
But we're not going to pay the couple $1,000 it takes to send a unit or a wing rep down to watch that. Now, I think those are relatively small and easy things to do. I mean, they hurt a little bit up front because we've always done it, and it's a great thing to do if you can. I mean, I think it's a great thing, but in terms of if you're going to make those decisions, those are relatively easy decisions to make. We'll have to start making some harder decisions. I think we're seeing we accepted risk on snow removal, and our snow removal this year is not quite as robust. We did some of it with timing. We started later. We rolled the dice. We got a little lucky on the weather.
We did.
But it could have gone the other way. So those are some of the things going on. But I think it will be a general tightening across the Misawa mission, not any, real major, we can't cut out the logistics readiness squadron.
Sure.
I don't think you'll. I agree, sir. I don't think it's about individual things. It's more of an expectation, a level of standard to level things out. And we're working hard. And I think I've heard you say before, to give an airman everything they need to do to get the mission done, but not 1 cent more. So, I mean, that's our focus. Yeah. What is that minimum we need to keep the mission going and the community going?
And I think you should pay attention to the news. As Colonel Rothstein said earlier, Secretary Panetta is coming out with some guidelines on our budget. I mean, that's just starting to become public. And I think that's going to give us an idea about what to expect. I think when you read our National Defense Strategy that the President released, the emphasis is on the Pacific, if you really read that.
Sure.
And so I think that's good news for Misawa. But I think you just have to pay attention to the news and see what our senior leaders have in store for us.
The three voices that you've heard across from me this hour: Chief Master Sergeant Russ Hastings, Colonel Mike Griffin, Colonel Mike Rothstein, your 35th Fighter Wing leadership. And we're going to go from a kind of a big DOD picture to a little bit of a smaller picture, but no less important. This question off of Facebook comes from Ms. Taffy White, and she asked, can we get a tow rope at the ski lodge, please? Colonel Griffin, I'm sure you've heard this one before.
Wait, actually, I laugh in a jokingly way, only because this topic just came up last week. Our vice did ask our Civil Engineering Squadron, FSS Squadron, to look at this, along with the Security Hill, and make sure there's no impact to some other missions going on. So we're trying to research that. We're trying to get a cost on it. I just don't have a definitive answer at this point in order to make it happen. But we are researching this, and hopefully within the next week or two, we'll be able to provide Ms. White a note back on this, at least a direction we're going to go down.
And Chief Master Sergeant Select Vance will also carry your sled.
He'll carry your sled up the hill for you
hill
until we
too.
get a.
And I think we'll have Colonel Robinson sing to him or something when they get up there.
These guys are just godsends. This is excellent.
They're
8:54
awesome.
on the clock. Commanders open line. Colonel Mike Rothstein, Colonel Mike Griffin, Chief Master Sergeant Russ Hastings. As aforementioned, our time it's running short, but we do have another really big topic that I want to hit on before we start with our wrap up. Information assurance. I know we had somebody come through here a couple of weeks ago, did a little pre-inspection with us. Colonel Rothstein, why are we seeing these folks roving around?
Well, we've got several. Let me go back here. We're seeing folks roving around because it is very important that we do business correctly on our communications infrastructure, and it is, you think about. I'll go back to that big picture, and how dependent we are on our communications, on our computers. All the things that go across our networks, the unimaginable computing power of what can be pulled off of that and that sort of thing. And as we look at the potential next fight, that is a huge vulnerability for us. And I am convinced that there are people and nations and actors that are not nations who are investing a lot of time and money in figuring out how to mess with us.
That's right.
Should they ever need to. And so that information assurance, our ability to continue to operate and protect our computer networks is not just the job of the comm squadron. It's not just the job of our information assurance office up at the wing. It is every airman, every officer, every enlisted, every civilian, every NAF employee's job to do that. And that is very important. It is a weapon system, and we are dependent on it.
And similar to what we spoke on with voting, having a voting rep, actually every unit should have an information assurance officer. Is that right, Colonel Rothstein?
Yep, they should. But we need everyone to be involved because
Right.
it's a network. There's I can't remember how many thousands, obviously, of computers on the classified network, on the unclassified network, and you leave one door open, and someone's going to tunnel their way through and get to all of it. So we got to be real careful on that. We've got several inspections coming up as well to look at it, but the real reason to do it is because it's important.
Yeah.
The inspection will help validate whether we are doing it correctly or incorrectly, but we ought not to do it because of the inspection. We ought to do it because it is very important to our national security.
Yep.
8:57 on Commander's Open Line. I'm a South Source 1575. Typically we go to the news at the top of the hour, but I just had 2 more questions come in, so we can get to these really quick. I'd like to do that. The first one, sir, comes from Christine. Says, wondering if you all had already addressed the issue about PCSing from Misawa with your pet. I know the Misawa passenger terminal has been turning away families that have larger dogs and will not let them fly out. We're leaving in 5 weeks, have a 75-pound boxer, and I'm worried about trying to PCS out. Any information would be great. Have you heard anything about this, Colonel Rothstein?
Colonel
Griffin.
I will step only because I just heard it yesterday in our staff meeting, and it's more of that the AMC contract is going exactly what the contract says about an animal needing to move around and have freedom of movement along the trip. So what I would recommend that the individual goes to the AMC terminal before they PCS, shows them the kennel that they're transporting with it, and make sure it fits. Start off there. And if there's an issue that they seem is incorrect, bring it up through us and through the loaded LRS, and we'll work through those details.
Yeah, we went through this very thing. So what Colonel Griffin says is exactly right. You take the kennel you're going to use to the terminal and let them see it, and they will
With the animal in it.
with the animal, and they will give you guidance on whether it's authorized or not.
Both of our
Right,
Chief. Both of our
right.
questions were very similar there, so we're just going to
Right.
hit on the.
But one thing you have to be aware of is that kennel that you're going to use has to be something that will transfer to whatever flight you have out of Seattle. So that's another concern you're going to have. So sometimes the plane that you're going to take out of Seattle is smaller. Usually it's smaller than the plane you take into Seattle. So you have to be aware and make sure that the airline will be able to use that kennel on their airline as well. So there's a lot of involvement. I mean, Mary has done all the research for us, and we've got it all figured out. But it takes some communication with the AMC passenger terminal, actually.
Commander's Open Line. I'm a South Source 1575. I want to thank you, all Source listeners, for joining us for another exciting edition of COL. Typically, when we start a wrap-up, we start with Chief Master Sergeant Russ Hastings, but I've been informed we want to save him for last today, as this is his final show. So, Colonel Griffin, any final thoughts on our wrap-up here today?
I just thank everybody for the questions and for bringing the communication, and I will pass my minutes on.
Excellent. Hey, Colonel Rothstein, thank you so much for coming back in the chair with us. Happy to have you back on Commander's Open Line. Anything you'd like to end with today, sir?
Nope. My thanks to everyone, and I will also defer my time to the gentleman from Houston.
So here we go. Well, that could mean me, but I'm going to think he's talking about you after a 30-year career.
Yeah.
Chief Master Sergeant Russ Hastings, any final words of wisdom for us?
I got nothing. I want to thank everybody in Misawa for making this a great assignment for my family and I. I mean, this is really, I can't think of a better way to end my career. Somebody asked me, it was in another forum, but somebody asked me, what changes would I make in my career? And, I have no regrets, and I don't have anything that I can think of that I would change. And for me to have the opportunity to serve as command chief here at Misawa has been just an experience that I'll never forget. I want to thank the volunteers for PAWS on behalf of Mary and all the work that those folks have done. Pretty thankless sometimes, but there's a lot of people that work some long hours at that organization for Mary. So on behalf of my wife, I would like to thank all the volunteers at PAWS. I would also like to thank the junior ROTC at Edgerton High School for getting my son. I guess I should thank him. He's pretty spun up now. He gets a haircut like every 2 days, I think. So they have inspired him to pursue ROTC. So I would like to thank the instructors over there in the program at the high school for junior ROTC for what they do for our kids. And finally, I would like to welcome the Laurent family to Misawa. I'll just say there's 160 Chief Master Sergeants on the list for Command Chief. And Jim Laurent was Colonel Rothstein's first choice, and I think we were very lucky to get him in here. So, there's a lot of things I'm worrying about right now with my retirement. What am I going to do? Are we going to get out of here on time, the ceremony and all that kind of stuff? One thing that I'm not worried about is my replacement. Jim Laurent will really fill my shoes. Now, I'll tell you right now, he's not as nice looking as I am, but he is more than capable of taking my place.
As long as he has more than one sweater.
That's right. And I'd also like to welcome Terry, his wife. He has a daughter, Erin, who's in school in Hawaii right now, I believe, and then Cody, who goes to high school. So I'd like to welcome the Laurent family, and please make them feel as welcome as you made us feel. Thank you very much.
Misawa Source never with enough time to touch on all the topics that we want to on Commander's Open Line, but once again, we thank you for joining, and obviously not enough time left in this program to say all the nice things that we from AFN Misawa would like to say to Chief Hastings. But Chief, on behalf of everyone at AFN, thank you for everything that you've done with us. Chief's Corner has been an awesome success, and we've enjoyed having you here on Commander's Open Line.
Thanks a lot.
So we leave you with this, because after today, he is going to be a rolling stone rolling out of Misawa Air Base. So here's the Rolling Stones live.
All right.
Doing their cover of Like a Rolling Stone. Good day to you all, gentlemen. We'll see you next month.